Visit WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app to watch ESPN live anytime, anywhere. Brought to you by Vizio.
14-7. Kirk, I'll let you take this one because I can't explain it.
I can't either. How do you analyze this? I mean, like I said, it reminds you of Barry Sanders with those jump cuts. And Ole Miss had him surrounded. He somehow is able to get away from 5 different Ole Miss defenders who had him wrapped up. And, you know, he's been dinged up with that high ankle, and now he's making plays like that. That's special.
Well, so 14-7 caps another long scoring drive. And the Aggies started things off. The opening drive of the ball game went 78 yards to take the 7-0 lead. Then a big touchdown pass. Bo Wallace to Vince Sanders evened it off. Aggies answer a 75-yard drive. And the kick. This one's returnable from about the 5. They fight over that one back there and get out near the 20-yard line. And Jalen Walton. If you're just joining us and you watched Penn State and their thrilling 4 overtime win, Brad Nessler with Kirk Herbstreit, who traveled cross country from Seattle in game day. Good to have you with us in Oxford.
Great to be here, buddy.
You didn't have time to get down to the Grove, I don't think, because
no,
that was a long plane ride.
It was. I missed out on that, but it's exciting to see Johnny Manziel and this Ole Miss team that's been backed into a corner, so to speak,
right,
with the last 2 weeks against Bama and Auburn.
I'm just glad that Johnny is okay because he was shaken up earlier in the ball game. If you weren't here, tweaked his knee a little bit. They put a brace on that left knee, and he's set to go the next time they get the ball back. But now it's Ole Miss trying to answer with some offense of their own, and Jalen Walton on the carry. Got a couple.
Brad, we talked earlier about the importance of Ole Miss running the football. They talked to us about how important it was to try to stay on schedule. And this is a team that when it's 3rd and 5 or less, they're converting at 68%. And if it's 3rd and 6 or longer, it's 24%. That's why it's so important with this offense to be able to stay on schedule and avoid those 2nd and 3rd down and longs.
Here it's 2nd down and 7. They fake to Walton and throw the slant. Complete. Nice throw, but not that big a gain. Laquan Treadwell on the catch. And we've come to the end of the first quarter. The 9th-ranked team in the country, led by the reigning Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel and Kevin Sumlin. The Aggies with a touchdown lead at the end of 1. The SEC on ESPN as we get set to start quarter number 2 from Oxford, Mississippi. Brad Nessler with Kirk Herbstreit and Holly Rowe at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. 14-7. The Aggies in front as we start things off in quarter number 2. And a 3rd down and 2 coming up for Bo Wallace and the Rebels offense. Aggies showing possible blitz off the corner. They're going to bring it, but it's going to be a 1st down run by Jalen Walton. Walton's not a lot bigger than Jeff Scott. They're both in the 5'7", 5'8" range, and both are less than 170 pounds. And now they go hurry up, or at least tempo, now that they've got the 1st down. Wallace on 1st down. Nice throw and catch, and he got it to his tight end, and that might be, oh, he stepped out shy of the 1st down. First 3 weeks of the season with wins over Vandy in Texas that were pretty good wins. 38 points a game, only 12 points per the last 2, and the yardage has gone down, and 3rd down percentage has been the killer. I
think the rushing yards are the biggest difference between those first 3 and the last 2.
They fake it to Scott, come up throwing again, complete. Attaboy, Joe.
And you can see that A&M really respects the speed of these wide receivers. This is a very talented group of wide receivers. And Mark Snyder, as a defensive coordinator, he's sitting back. He's giving them a cushion. And right now, Bo Wallace taking advantage of that cushion with some easy throws.
This time the give is to Scott, and he's going to be trapped before he can get back to the line of scrimmage. Loss of a yard.
Tony Hurd again on the blitz, the senior, and is a nickel back. Undersized, but very aggressive. Played for the Mark Snyder's defense a year ago, made some big plays. And a big part of what they're trying to do tonight to be able to try to contain the outside running game of Ole Miss.
So a loss of a yard brings up 2nd down and 11. Wallace looking to the sideline.
So here's Tony Hurd right here. They've been blitzing him. Now they actually check with Bo Wallace and drop him back.
And they throw to the outside. Nice catch. Getting the hands out there. Attaboy Joe again, the second catch on this drive.
Ole Miss checks a lot of their plays at the line of scrimmage. Hugh Freeze and his offensive staff will look out, see the coverage. That time they saw Tony Hurd and they saw Mark Snyder's defense thinking about blitz. They changed, and then A&M's defense changed with him. We're seeing more and more of that trend all over college football with these quarterbacks looking over to get confirmation. Defenses change out.
Third down at 6. Trying to keep the drive alive. The Rebels. Wallace over the middle. That one's broken up, incomplete. Looking for a flag was Jordan Holder, and Steven Jenkins was the guy covering.
He was all over the back that time of the receiver, and I think that's what Hugh Freeze and this entire group of Ole Miss fans and players wanted to see.
And the Ole Miss fans just saw it on the Jumbotron, so you saw their reaction, but they're going to have to punt it away. This is the first punt of the ball game. Tyler Campbell will kick it. Travis Labbert, who has a long reception in the ball game, is back on the other end inside his own 10-yard line. End over end kick, kind of a weak fair catch call, but he did put his hand up there and got it just inside the 10-yard line.
Well, Hugh Freeze was frustrated there on that third down because I think he felt that his receiver right in the middle there, Holder, gets hit early, and he has very good reason to be frustrated. Jenkins jumps the route and jumps it a little bit too quick. A&M catches a break because that looks like it should have been an automatic first down for Ole Miss.
Manziel. Johnny football. It's a foot race. Touchdown Manziel. Manziel sprinting out. He's going to keep it. Manziel showing off the deep ball. Manziel dances out of it. Manziel on his feet. Touchdown. And the legend of number 2 continues.
12:39 remaining in the first half. And time tonight for our Aflac trivia question. Johnny Manziel just reached 7,000 total yards a little bit earlier. Who's the only other player to reach 7,000 total yards in their 19th game? You're going to have to think about this one for a while.
Can you give me a decade?
I could probably run you a decade. And on the ground is Molina, and he goes for 5 or 6.
And again, for people that have not seen this offense, the last couple drives, Johnny Manziel had, since that injury, they're throwing the football and they're running the football, but very little of Johnny Manziel, in fact none at this point, of Johnny Manziel creating or design runs for Manziel.
He has stayed in the pocket. Second down and 4. Molina again trying to go wide, and Ole Miss is there to meet him this time.
I think the reason that's a really important aspect of this offense is it puts the defense at a disadvantage. Not only is creativity, where it's again that backyard football look, but it puts you in a jam as a defensive coordinator because of the numbers game of what do you want to put guys in there to account for Manziel's potential run game, or do you want to sit him back against the passing of Johnny Manziel? If he's not willing to run or he's unable to run, it changes how Ole Miss can attack defensively.
And this is picture perfect when he's healthy. Third down and 4. They can do a lot of different things. Will he put it up or just hand it off, or will he test that knee? Going to throw, lobs out a screen to Molina. Molina trying to get to the first down marker and got there. Nice cutback run by Molina, one of our impact players, and he takes it out for a first down.
That's a great play by Molina, but 3rd and 4, and Johnny Manziel gets the ball out of his hands. You've got to make this play in space. At least you got to slow him down, and you know that's a great back, and Mike Hilton did the best he could, but they've got to come up with a play there on 3rd down to get A&M off the field.
Manziel throws off his back foot, airs it out long, and incomplete. Was actually closer to Trey Elston, the defensive back. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, I spoke with Johnny Manziel's quarterback coach, George Whitfield Jr., who's here at the game, before the game, and I said, what will you see if Manziel's doing well tonight? He said he'll be living between the tackles and be productive between the tackles. Well, now since he's tweaked that left knee, Johnny Manziel is staying more between the tackles. But guys, that was something they were working on all along. Now with the knee injury, he really will be living more between those tackles. We've seen it so far.
I'm a big fan, Holly, of just taking what the defense gives you. If it means staying between the tackles and sitting in the pocket, so be it. If it means creating, you got to create.
Throw out in the flat. This is going to be a loss for Malcolm Kennedy. So right now the Aggies are going the wrong way, but that quick Ole Miss defense doing a nice job.
There is tremendous quickness on this defense, and it's a veteran group. They've got to take advantage of every opportunity they get when they get Manziel and the A&M offense into third down. This is a 3rd and long, where you wonder if they're going to rush 3 and drop 8, or do they try and pressure him. They've been spying with the defensive back, Mike Hilton.
Empty backfield for Manziel on 3rd down and 14. Trips to the bottom of your screen, and we know Manziel's going to throw here. Or not. And now he does try to run, and here he goes. So much for what I had to say. And he slides all the way out to the 44-yard line. And I've got to think now, he says, okay, the knee's all right, I'm ready to go.
And there's Hilton. We just talked about him spying, and here we are thinking, they've lost that aspect to their offense. Hilton's right there. He tried to make a play in space before. Look at the man coverage. There's nobody left after he gets away from Hilton because of man-to-man coverage.
Back to Molina. He goes for a tough 6 before Candice makes the stop. And now that he's tested the leg, game's on now.
He kind of lulled him to sleep and lulled you and I to sleep because of that threat now backwards from being able to run.
It's Tom Molina hitting the backfield. There's going to be too many Rebels there for him to get back to the line of scrimmage. Byron Bennett's the first guy there, and he got help from a bunch of his friends.
A great job of getting penetration, be able to slow down this running game.
So now it's another 3rd down situation. They picked up 3rd and 14 with Manziel's legs. He's back there all by his lonesome again.
And Mike Evans still does not have a catch in this ball game.
Third down. Again, he spins away from the pressure. He'll run it, and he got there. And not only that, we got an Ole Miss player down as well. And that's Robert Candice, the freshman defensive end. Consensus really #1 recruit in the country last year, especially if you're talking about defense. And of course his brother Denzel's a linebacker here.
Mike Hilton is the spy again. He has had a rough night. They bring the blitz there with Denzel. But look him get to the outside, and look how late you have Hilton getting there to be able to make a play. And you could see right away
hamstring.
Candice was grabbing that hammy as he was trying to chase down Manziel.
We're going to check on him. 8:51 remaining.
ESPN College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more.
Just under 9 minutes remaining in the first half, and Robert Candice on the sideline, and it certainly looks like a hamstring, and it looks like a high one. And anybody that's ever had one of those, especially when you're 294 pounds, you wonder how long he might be out. I don't know.
If it is a pulled hamstring, that's a tough loss, and that's a number of weeks until you can get back in the lineup if it in fact is a hammy.
He barely had it. Barely could sit down on that bench over there because it looked like he grabbed it way up by his rear end. And at any rate, it's the 10th play of the Aggies' drive. And Molina, I thought his knee went down. If not, he just got planted in the backfield. Carlton Martin and Serdarius Bryant make the stop. We check in with Holly.
Well, Robert Candice, guys, has a left hamstring string. He is probably not going to return tonight. I can tell you he's in a ton of pain. He's not even been able to lay down and really let them look at it because it hurts so much right now.
Out of Grayson High School in Loganville, Georgia. He was a star on both sides of the ball last year and the year before. And as I said, #1 recruit basically in the country. A different kind of player than Jadeveon Clowney. Bigger, actually, if that's possible. Not as tall, but probably bigger in girth. And that's a tough loss for Ole Miss.
This is the third down on this drive for Texas A&M. Manziel, his feet have been a factor. See if they can do a better job of trying to contain him.
Drive started at their own 10-yard line. They're at the 45 of Ole Miss. Play action. Manziel wants a screen pass. Molina's there, but it's blown up. Nice job by Keith Lewis, the linebacker.
Boy, Keith Lewis is almost like he knew the signal or knew the play that was being called. He ran out there, and Ben Molina didn't have any chance at all. He's running out, almost just waiting for Molina to make this play. He's locked up on him man-to-man, does a great job of not letting Molina, who's very shifty out in space, make any kind of move at all to have a chance.
And Kirk, even after that throw by Manziel, you could tell it was kind of gingerly planting his left foot when he was being chased from behind. So again, it's still in his mind a little bit, despite the fact he's had a couple of nice runs since then. Ole Miss has got the ball back, just under 7 minutes remaining first half. They trail the Aggies by a touchdown. The most storied conference in college athletics will live on a new network. Traditions found a new home. SEC Network launches August 2014. For more info, go to www.getsecnetwork.com. We're in the SEC in Oxford, Mississippi.
And you look at Jake Spavital, who came over from West Virginia last year to replace Cliff Kingsbury. And he said, you know, the back and forth on the sidelines after possession with Johnny Manziel is amazing. He said, of all the quarterbacks I've been around, he's been around Geno Smith last year, Case Keenum when he was at Houston, Brandon Whedon, who's at, of course, Oklahoma State. He said he's the most intelligent quarterback I've ever been around.
That's saying a bunch. Those are pretty good names.
It sure is. He said it's not me just telling him what to do. It's a real back and forth, and him telling me as much as I'm telling him because of what he's seeing with his own eyes.
Ole Miss, their offense out there, they would love to get some points here before intermission. Only trailing the 9th-ranked team in the country by a score with 6.5 to go in the quarter. 2nd down and 6. That's Ingram, the tight end, in motion. And Wallace going to whip it out there, complete. Treadwell. And Treadwell, the freshman, has got a first down. And a flag down at the end of the play. The officials with a committee meeting over there. Would be a first down at the 31.
Well, if they're going to call this a block in the back, it was really almost a touch foul if they end up calling it.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Holding, number 7 of the offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Then dead ball, personal foul, late hit, number 8 on the defense. That's a 15-yard penalty and includes an automatic first down.
All right, so multiple fouls. That's what took so long. Stephen Jenkins is going to get the one that counts. And Kevin Sumlin's over there doing the math.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's that dead ball foul is the one that gives them the first down. And Jenkins, the best defender on this Aggies defense. Treadwell's way out of bounds. Whistle's been blown, and he body slams it.
So first down, just over 6 minutes to go. Atavius Mathers in the backfield, and now steps up and takes the handoff. Nope, it's going to be Wallace. Faked it to Mathers, and Wallace runs into Jenkins, the guy that just got the penalty.
Ole Miss again is trying to establish that running game, something that's not been a big part of their offense. The first 3 weeks it was, the last 2 weeks it's not been. And a helmet comes off there, so they got to run another center out there. Ben Still come out, backup center's got to come out for a snap.
That's always dangerous when you're in a shotgun. Haven't had chance to snap one back there. It's perfect though. Play fake. Wallace going to load and lay one out there long for Moncrief, and he's going to draw a flag. Howard Matthews.
Howard Matthews earlier got out of position on a big touchdown pass for Ole Miss, and this time he's bumping Dante Moncrief down the sideline.
Pass interference. Defense number 31. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
Moncrief has, for his size, Brad, Moncrief can go by you. And I think the position that Howard Matthews was in, Moncrief was about to just go right by him for a big play, and Matthews just got in his way and prevented him from getting around him.
Moncrief, even in a loss to Auburn last week, had 6 catches for 122 yards and a couple of touchdowns. So first down by penalty again, and Wallace. Nice run this time, the best of the night by the Ole Miss quarterback.
Usually it's Brunetti, the backup quarterback, that has really good ability to run this play. But they, again, going back to early in the year, they were running that play, and Jeff Scott was getting around the corner.
Yeah.
It's a big part of what they want to do because it does set up their play action and how they want to attack off that same look.
And now a big opening for Jalen Walton inside the 30-yard line. And they got the running game going.
They run outside. The quarterback keeps the football. They take a shot downfield, and then they get the ball into Walton's hands. What a great block up front there to put the A&M defender right on his back. It's just a really good combination of play calling right now from Hugh Freeze.
Texas A&M's going to take a timeout. They don't like the way Ole Miss's offense is gashing them right now. With 4:45 remaining in the half, Rebels are threatening, down 7.
Texas A&M up 14-7 over Ole Miss. Well, last week, Ole Miss quarterback Bo Wallace said he got a little negative with his team. He said, you know, I'm a fiery guy. That's how I play with passion, and I didn't think the other guys were being passionate enough. He said, what I learned was what I said was okay, but how I said it wasn't received well. He's made amends with his guys. He took his offensive line out for wings, all they could eat this week. And his body language and how he's communicating with guys has been very positive tonight. Definitely more mojo on this offense for Ole Miss.
Spent a couple of $100 on wings, he said. Linemen can eat a lot. Right now, he's out, and Barry Brunetti is in. But you saw Bo with the emotional sideline routine with his teammates. And Brunetti off play action. And he's going to throw, and almost caught, broken up at the goal line by Shazer Everett.
A risky throw by Brunetti, but a great call by Hugh Freeze because the option quarterback, or the more mobile quarterback, based on what A&M has studied, they break a tendency there, roll him out, and give him a chance. Now, the ball was thrown late. A&M almost came up with an interception, but it just gives them something else to think about when they see number 11 check into the game. He's not just going to run the football.
Now Wallace back in there. And Walton clears out. They're going to throw it out to Walton in the flat. Trying to make the first man miss. Going to be run out of bounds around the 25.
Really just an extension of their running game.
Just a long handoff.
That's it. Soft corner, easy throw. And this is 4-down territory really for Hugh Freeze. I mean, even on this 3rd down, if he can pick up 4 or 5 yards to give themselves a chance. They have really struggled in this area the last couple weeks against Bama and Auburn. They've been inside the 30-yard line. You saw it firsthand. The last 2 weeks, 8 times inside the 30, only 1 touchdown.
Yep, they came up empty against Alabama, of course, shut out 2 weeks ago. So a huge 3rd down and 7 from the 25 of Texas A&M. Wallace pumps, signals for his receiver to get downfield, and now fires to the sideline, and it is caught. No, he's out of bounds. Jamaz Logan.
Logan didn't argue this. Wallace gives him a chance. The ball's thrown high. Boy, it just missed it. Just missed it. You think he got a toe tap there?
Yeah, it's close. Another look. That's thrown a little bit more inside.
Really close. He almost had the ball while his right foot was still on the ground before he went up in the air.
I know one thing, he's got a long stride. So they'll try the field goal. Andrew Ritter will try from 42 yards out. Kick on the way, and it's perfect. So they got 3. They would have loved 7, but hey, against the 9th-ranked team in the country, cut it to 4 with just over 4 to go in the half. They were aided by a couple of penalties that gave them a couple first downs. Nonetheless, they cap off the drive with a field goal. Don't forget, this would be a dandy coming up on Monday night. Andrew Luck, how good is he in year 2? Phillip Rivers rejuvenated with the Chargers. Monday Night Football starts with Monday Night Countdown at 6:30. Then the Colts and the Chargers, 8:25 on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. And there's the numbers, 1,600 yards already for Phillip Rivers.
You live up in that world on Thursday nights. Who besides the obvious out there, who are the teams you think to beat?
Well, it's amazing that the Chiefs are 5-0. That's a shocker.
Yeah. Is that for real?
That's might be for real. I think the Saints are for real now that they got Sean Payton back.
Yeah.
There's some teams that are really struggling, obviously. The Giants, who I saw on Thursday nights, and they're 0 for right now. And the Falcons have a bye week, and they have only 1 win. Yeah,
right.
They got more injured guys. Those 2 teams have more injured guys than anybody in the world, I think.
Seahawks still, they lost to the Colts, still look like a team. The 49ers.
Yep.
fun to see Pep Hamilton, the former Stanford offensive coordinator, calling plays now.
He's right in tune with luck, isn't he? Yeah. Ritter, who hit the field goal. Trey Williams and Ben Molina are back deep. And a kick about 3 yards deep to Williams. Across the 20, weaving his way across the 30. Nice return. About 36 yards. And that's where the Aggies will go to work. But first we check in with Reese Davis. Reese.
All right, Brad, time for SportsCenter right now, brought to you by Ally Bank. Missouri had a huge win against Georgia on this day, but something Georgia knows a little bit about. Bit of a Pyrrhic victory. James Franklin, their fine starting quarterback, suffered a second-degree separation of his shoulder. He will miss the rest of the regular season. The Tigers are unbeaten, but they've got Florida and South Carolina coming up. SportsCenter is on ESPN News at 11 Eastern.
That's a huge shocker for Georgia, but they also a team with all kinds of injuries, and they couldn't overcome it today. And Kirk, I think you called that one on game day today from Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri came in there. I think they're a much better team than people in the SEC realize. They can play football, and they're healthy up front in the offensive line.
Here we're in the SEC West with a number 9 team, and Johnny Manziel going deep. Evans covered well by Charles Sawyer, incomplete. So they finally target the big 6'5" wide receiver, and they come away empty.
And they let Charles Sawyer get away with some pushing. I mean, this is a race, and Evans has really improved as a wide receiver. Both of them are pushing back and forth, and that's why I think they allowed it to go. You can see Sawyer doing everything he can. He's 5'11", going up against a 6'5" wide receiver who's very, very physical. But Mike Evans, he doesn't have a catch yet tonight.
Nope. Came in averaging almost 25 yards a catch. I think a lot of you saw the 279 he put on Alabama earlier this year. Second down and 10 for Manziel. They keep it on the ground, and Molina goes straight up the middle to the 40. Still's going to bring up a 3rd down and 6.
And they give Johnny Manziel, it's a difference from last year to this year. They give him flexibility. Remember last year, all the time he's looking over to the sideline. Now he's evaluating the safety play on his own. If he sees 2 safeties deep, he's either going to run it himself with a design quarterback run, or he's going to hand it off to his back and try to get some yards.
3rd down and 6. Manziel in the pocket, lofts it to the near side. It's caught by Darrell Walker. I'm not sure how he even got to that ball, but it's a 1st down.
Well, Johnny Manziel was trying to move Walker. It was almost too late. He actually threw him to where he needed to be for the 1st down. Walker with not much awareness here. He continues on his route, and then you can see the adjustment that he has to make is where Manziel wanted him to be in the first place.
Evans now to the 48-yard line. First catch for number 13. And it's only good for about 5 yards. But they're back in Rebel territory at the 46-yard line. Molina. And he's going to be close to a 1st down. Might have it. DJ Shackelford made the stop, but I don't think he brought him down until he got to the stripe. No, he is a little bit short.
Ole Miss doing the best job they can of rotating bodies in and out of this football game to try to stay fresh, especially in the interior. Looking, you and I talked about it with Holly. As the game wore on last week against Auburn, they got tired.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, they were tired in that second half, and they're doing a better job tonight of rotating as many fresh bodies in and out of this lineup as they can.
And they're running out of fresh bodies. Part of the problem. 3rd down, little less than a yard. Molina. I think he's got it with forward progress, but there's a big pileup in the middle. And if the linesman comes over, he doesn't have his foot on the 1st down marker. Assuming that our yellow line is completely true, they're going to look at this one.
Got to be really impressed with Ole Miss's effort tonight defensively. And we knew that they're better than I think a lot of people assume, just based on the way they played the last couple weeks.
Well, they're out C.J. Johnson. They're short him because he's got an ankle. Carlos Thompson's out. They lost Kimdichie earlier this quarter. They're running out of defensive linemen the way it is, especially defensive ends.
But they are in attack mode tonight against a very talented offensive line from Texas A&M.
Okay, it's that much short. 4th down and about 3 links.
You can see the coaches over there talking about they're anticipating Ole Miss pinching pinching the A-gaps right at the center. Wonder if they're willing to try to take a chance here and bounce the ball to the outside. The bigger back, Trey Carson, comes in here.
4th down, A&M. Trey Carson in a pistol set behind Johnny Manziel. Huge play right here. And he's hit and he's going to be dropped. Ole Miss will take over.
That was a perfectly timed blitz by Mike Mary coming right up the middle. It was his penetration through here that forces Carson to the outside, and then you see the rest of the Ole Miss defense there. Tony Connor leads the way, but it was really the blitz and the timing of it from Mike Mary and the penetration. It gives Ole Miss a chance to get points on the board here now.
Mary, the captain of the defense, a 250-pounder out of Clearwater, Florida, with a huge play. And now, lo and behold, 2 minutes to go. Ole Miss has a chance for more points. They throw it out complete. It'll be about a yard gain for Jamez Logan.
Sorry, Brad. Couple timeouts here. This offense is so used to hurry-up mode. It's where they live. It's their comfort. Bo Wallace knows how to attack here, and the 2 timeouts only helps them as far as trying to work this clock down and at very least try to get in the field goal range.
A&M wasn't even set defensively, and Ole Miss, that's tipped and almost intercepted. He almost threw it right to Stephen Jenkins. The clock stops with 1:31.
He's got to be careful here at telegraphing some of these passes. You look at his eyes right there. It's a great look into the eyes of the quarterback, Bo Wallace, and Stephen Jenkins looking at the same thing that you and I are.
Not only staring down his receiver, but he's got kind of a windup. It takes a while to get out of Bo Wallace's hand. 3rd down and 8. Trying to take advantage of stopping the Aggies on 4 downs, and they do. 1st down throw. Vince Sanders, who has the long touchdown catch tonight, has got it back in Aggie land.
It's the first time tonight Ole Miss has converted on 3rd down and 6 or longer. They show blitz from the top, and then they brought it from the middle, just trying to disguise their look, and a perfectly thrown ball by Bo Wallace into that soft shell there of the defense. They brought a blitz and sat back and played in zone coverage, and they found the hole in the zone.
DeShazer Everett, who's probably the best defender the Aggies have, is the guy that's down. He was part of the tackle on Sanders. And 1:23 remaining till halftime. We've got a second here. Let's check in with Reese.
Brad Buick halftime report coming up. Some Cardinal sins committed by Stanford. Stanford knocked from the ranks of the unbeaten by Utah. Mac Brown is back. Everybody's happy with him and hugging him, I'm sure, in Texas after the Red River rivalry. Also get you up to date on the other upsets. A costly victory for Missouri, though the Tigers still among the 14 undefeated teams in college football. We'll see you in a bit.
We see you at halftime. I don't know if Mac even had to take a shower the way he got doused at the end of the game by his team. Everett limping off, getting some help. Yeah. By the way, I was supposed to give you a decade on the Aflac trivia question about 7 years ago. Okay, that's middle of the 2000s, somewhere in there.
Okay, wow.
It was 7,000 yards of offense in a 19-game year.
Well, then I'm going to have to
19-game
stretch.
You want me to
guess? That was a heck of a hint.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say Vince Young.
How about Colt Brennan, Hawaii?
Wow. Never
Good guess, though.
I would have never gotten that.
No, that's a good one. There's our Aflac trivia question.
That's a big loss. We'll have to see if Everett's able to come back.
Yeah, he's their best defender. He scored on touchdown, interception returns, and fumble recoveries already this year.
Full start. 78 offense. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Laramie Tunsil, the freshman left tackle. Big fella out of Lake City, Florida, with the penalty. So 1st and 15. Back at the 46-yard line. That's Ingram, the tight end, in motion to a slot on the left. Wallace pump fakes. Deep sideline to Ingram. Incomplete. Not a bad ball thrown out there, but incomplete.
They tried a little pump fake. They had Ingram coming in motion and trying to create a one-on-one matchup there. Pretty good coverage that time by Floyd Raven.
A field goal would be huge. A touchdown would be monumental. Ole Miss doesn't want to blow the opportunity to not get something out of this after stopping the Aggies on 4th down. Not sure if this is an official timeout. I didn't see a timeout signaled by Matt Moore. Might be a clock situation we're dealing with. I'm not sure.
Like he was looking up, talking about maybe the game clock.
Meanwhile, Bo Wallace has got time to think about what's coming up here on 2nd down and 15.
I love that report from Holly about his body language and his leadership skills, and how he admitted even to her that he maybe lost his cool a little bit, just his competitive spirit, and how he tried to make amends, taking the big fellas out this week, and he's trying to channel that emotion in a right way tonight. It's been much better for him, and I think his teammates will respond to that positive emotion from him, because he's that kind of player.
Tries to be a leader in a lot of different ways. Told us that his little brother's a 7th grader, also a quarterback, and he's got the same hairdo as Bo. And he says, yeah, he tries to do everything just like me, and I know he looks up to me, so I try to be a good big brother. Well, he's trying to be a good teammate here.
That's right.
Hasn't been sacked tonight, and that's the one thing you don't want to have happen here.
It's not malfunction. It has malfunctioned. We will keep the time on the field.
So it's the play clock that's a problem.
That's always scary.
Yeah, it is.
In a 2-minute drill. Forget that clock up there. I got it right here on my wrist.
Like you want to turn around and ask Matt Moore on every play how much time we got. We know we've got 63 seconds till halftime. Play action. Wallace. I just mentioned he hasn't been sacked. Now he has. Gavin Stansberry, one of our impact players earlier in the ball game. And now they're back in their own territory, and that's not good. And the clock winding down to 45 seconds.
Surprised that they're willing to let this clock tick down after the sack. Very good job there with Mark Snyder's defense, confusing the offensive line and the pass protection and getting pressure that time on Wallace. But look at this clock.
They're not going to get all of this, I doubt, down to the 31-yard line. They'd like to get a shot at a field goal, but they are wasting time. You're right. Finally, they snap it with around 20 seconds to go. Flaring it out to Walton. Walton bumped out of bounds at the 43. It's going to be 4th down and about 12.
Yeah, you know, you have 2 timeouts. You get out of bounds, you still have 2 timeouts.
So they're trying to do the math on a field goal that would be a mile out for Andrew Ritter.
I think you take a chance here, and instead of throwing one up, you try to get a first down. 4th and 13. You try to get a first down. You got the timeout. You have the timeouts, and then try to take a shot, take a field goal.
It'd be a 60-yard field goal right now. And Andrew Ritter, his career long right now is
that will be a 30-second
52 yards. So I'm not sure, Kirk, what the situation was, and I don't like to get involved in time management too much and try to think for the head coach, but I don't know what they were doing there.
I'm with you. I don't like to do that either, but at the same time, especially in a 2-minute situation where you take a sack, the clock's ticking down. I don't know what it was, 20 or 25 seconds. It was almost as if Hugh Freeze was intentionally trying to work the clock down, but then on 3rd down, they don't pick up a whole lot of yards to give themselves much of a chance. And now I wouldn't throw it up as a Hail Mary here. I think it's manageable. You could try to pick up a first down, get a timeout, kick a field goal.
Yeah, and they'll move the chains and at least give themselves a shot. But right now it'll be a 60-yard field goal. So that's the conversation going on the sideline. And his kicker was out there trying to tell him, Coach, I got this. Here he comes. So the decision's been made. Andrew Ritter, the captain of the special teams, grad student out of Jackson, Mississippi. He'll be a big man on campus here at halftime if he hits this field goal.
No doubt about that.
52, his longest this year. Chris Connolly will hold.
Kevin Sumlin's got to be thinking about, if he misses this, we're going to take a shot at trying to maybe get points ourselves.
I'm not sure I wouldn't run somebody back as a return man. And they're going to talk about it. Kevin Sumlin, whether he's trying, I doubt that he's trying to ice the kicker. I think he's going to think about, what are we going to do here with either our offense, or should we put a guy back and maybe try to return a missed field goal?
To me, you let this field goal go, and if it's short, you get great field position.
Yeah.
Maybe a shot with Johnny Manziel's arm strength. That, depending on how much time's left, you either take a long shot down the field, or you maybe take a 15 or 20-yard route and try to get some yards. It just depends on. That's what he's talking about right now. was surprised on how Ole Miss managed that clock towards the end of the first half here. But hey, Brad, I think now's a good time to say what tremendous effort from both of these defenses. We anticipated maybe a shootout. A&M went right down and scored, and here we are sitting here at 14-10. And this ties the second lowest output for A&M in the first half of the entire year.
And now Ole Miss has changed, and they bring out Tyler Campbell. So they're going to punt it away. I'm not sure if I wouldn't have tried the field goal. I know Holly was asking Hugh Freeze about his kicker's distance, and he said he hit a 57-yarder in practice this week. He had a 52-yarder to his credit. I guess they're comfortable going to the locker room at halftime.
I think they're afraid if he misses that, Johnny Manziel has a shot there.
Yep.
So 14-10.
I think they would have taken that at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, it's been an interesting day, no doubt. And Utah has taken down Stanford. Michigan goes down to Penn State in 4 overtimes. Texas wins the Red River rivalry over Oklahoma. And Missouri beat Georgia today. Between the hedges, just some of the storylines on the afternoon.
And Oregon with a huge win out in Seattle against Washington. 2 really talented football teams. But that Georgia game probably surprised a lot of people there in Athens.
We've had a good one here. Luckily, Johnny Manziel, after tweaking his knee, was able to play. Hugh Freeze's Rebels of Ole Miss, for the most part, had an answer. Not sure about that last 45 seconds of the first half, but that's just me. So the Aggies will have a 4-point lead heading to the locker room as they're looking for their 10th straight road win for Kevin Sumlin. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, Coach, what was it like when you saw Johnny Manziel laying down over there on the sideline? What went through your mind?
Well, you know, it's happened before, and you know, we just got to make sure what it is. It happened once last year, so get our guys ready to go. We're never happy for anybody to see anything like that, but obviously he's doing all right. He's feeling good, and he's playing pretty good right now.
The other concern is DeShazer Everett. He does so much for you defensively. What do you know about his injury right now?
No, I look for him to come back too. You know, it's had a couple of nicks and bruises in this game early. We'll check on him, but I think he'll be back in the second half.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
So Kevin Sumlin's team going to the locker room at halftime, leading by 4 in this SEC West battle. Time to send it to the Buick halftime report. Reese and the guys are standing by with all those storylines and more.
Here come the Rebels, and tonight hoping to pick off the number 9 team in the country, the Aggies of Texas A&M.
First and goal, Molina broke free at the 5 and scores. Touchdown. Well, there's your fast start. They pump fake to the running back and come back the other way. Now they got a man on the run. Touchdown, Ole Miss. Back to the ground, a hip skip and a jump by Williams, and he's heading to the end zone. Touchdown, A&M. And we welcome you back to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hemingway Stadium, first half statistically looks like this. Not a lot there for Ole Miss on the ground, but they made up for it with the passing game, especially that 70-yard touchdown toss. And they have held Johnny Manziel and Texas A&M pretty much in check through 2 quarters. Oh, it's not that bad. Johnny, wake up. Needs a 5-hour energy.
He better wake up. 98 yards passing in the first half. He's going to have to make some adjustments. This is the second time now we've seen Ole Miss defense defend Johnny Manziel pretty well. Remember last year, they're down 27-17 in the fourth quarter. It took some fourth quarter heroics from Manziel scrambling and throwing to pull that game out a year ago.
By the way, this is the least amount of points A&M has had, with the exception of the Alabama game at halftime. Same amount then, 14. Taylor Bertolette will kick to start the third quarter. And Jalen Walton will take a knee. So I've got to give credit, I think, to Ole Miss's defense, Herbie, because obviously when you're playing a team this high-powered and you got Johnny Manziel, they kept him pretty much in check.
Yeah, the second year in a row that Dave Womack's come up with a scheme that's been able to contain him. Now, he's hit 12 of 15, but they're doing a very good job of being multiple and just containing him, keeping everything on the inside, which is what you've got to do. Now, we'll see how Manziel, when he gets to football back, tries to come back and try to come up with some big plays. They've not been able to get the ball thrown downfield for any big plays at all because of this scheme.
Meanwhile, Bo Wallace And the offense of the Rebels at the 25-yard line to open things up. They'll give it off, trying to establish a ground game. Jeff Scott only got about a yard. Nice play by Harris as we check in with Holly.
Well, Ole Miss had 6 penalties in the first half. Hugh Freeze said it's killing us. One thing he's concerned about, he said, I'm not out there, but my kids are telling me that Texas A&M is making some kind of sounds that are simulating the snap count. He talked to the officials at the half. That is illegal to do that, but he said it has thrown them off sides. They've got to clean it up here in the second half.
Well, that cost him 1 penalty, so we'll see if it happens anymore. Wallace fires complete. No, in and out of the hands of Moncrief. Probably should have had it. Devontae Harris put it right on him as he was trying to make the grab.
And we talked about the composure of Bo Wallace. This is where he gets tested. He reads this perfectly. Stephen Jenkins goes out with the tight end Ingram. It opens up a huge window. A perfectly thrown football, and Moncrief unable to hold on to it.
And it brings up 3rd down and 9.
This is where Mark Snyder is going to get creative. Right now he's showing outside pressure.
Backs out of it. Now a late blitz. And Wallace trying to get away from that. Now he's across the line of scrimmage. All he can do is pull it down, get what he can, and get out of bounds.
Yeah, we talked about how he shows pressure, he'll get out. Sometimes he won't show the pressure, then he'll bring it. And it's just baby steps with this new young defense. There are 10 true freshmen in the 2 deep for this Aggies defense. So Mark Snyder typically likes to be wild, takes a lot of chances. He's not been able to do that. That time showed pressure, backed out, and got the pressure they needed.
So what they didn't want to do is have a 3 and out to open the 3rd quarter. Tyler Campbell a punt. This one will be returnable from the 20. Devontae Harris. And Harris straight up the field. Nice return of about 16 yards. Not a lot of dancing. He just went straight ahead and gives the Aggies good field position for their first possession of the 3rd quarter. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, get things started 10 a.m. Sunday NFL Countdown. Boomer and the gang with all the latest news and updates from around the league up to kickoff, and at 11 a.m. on ESPN2. You can catch fantasy football now for the latest news, injury reports, and predictions for the top fantasy performers. This guy last year, he would have gotten you a few fantasy points if you were doing it in a college type situation. As he rushed for over 1,400 yards and 21 touchdowns and 3,700 yards and 26 touchdown passes en route to the Heisman Trophy. 1st and 10 at the 37. Ole Miss thinking about a blitz, and they back out of it. Manziel, quick throw, just snaps one off complete. Travis Havert. And again, Johnny Manziel, if you missed it in the 1st quarter, looking to throw, rolling to his left, and then trying to throw down near the goal line and pulled up with his left knee in midair. They put a brace on it after he was out of play, and now he's back running the football, short of the 1st down, but not by much.
Ole Miss staying in attack mode against this Aggies offense, which is exactly what they need to do. They've rotated a lot of different bodies, a lot of different looks, a lot of 3-down line looks, and rotating as many linebackers and safeties. They've had as many as 7 defensive backs on the field at certain times.
Big 3rd down on the opening drive for the Aggies. Need to get to the 47. And now we got movement and contact. And Isaac Gross, I think, is going to cost Ole Miss 5 yards. And a free 1st down.
Offsides, defense number 94 with contact. The 5-yard penalty will result in a 1st down.
It is a 1st down in Ole Miss territory. Holly?
Well, Robert Kimdichie, the defensive tackle, limped out of the locker room. He's definitely out for the game, doesn't have his shoulder pads on. But Isaac Gross also has a shoulder injury. He's going to play and gut it out. Saw him get that penalty, but they are losing so many defensive tackles, defensive ends. They are very short right now for Ole Miss.
No doubt about that. 1st down in Ole Miss territory. Manziel, quick throw to Evans. Hurdles for what might be a 1st down.
An example of Johnny Manziel just aborting a play and just getting it out as fast as he can. They give him that freedom. Martin had a soft defensive back. He recognized that, gave Martin the look, and flipped the ball out there to him and picked up big yards there on 1st and 10.
And they go with a little bit of tempo here after picking up the 1st down. Back to the ground game. Molina for a couple. That's about it. Sir Darius Bryant made the stop.
Seen a lot of Ole Miss playing with 2 safeties back deep, and the reason they're doing that is to take away the ability of Manziel getting one-on-one coverage and trying to get the big play in the pass game. They've had a lot of this and almost willing to give them the running game and trying to take away the deeper passes, making Manziel and the Aggies have to earn what they're getting tonight.
Make him use a lot of snaps to go the length of the field. Manziel this time fires far side, and he's got a man complete. And it's Jarrell Walker. He got tossed out of bounds, but no flag. So they continue to move down the field inside the 25.
Great anticipation from Johnny Manziel here, where he throws this ball. I mean, it's halfway through the air before the receiver even turns around to make a play on it.
15 out of 18 for Manziel, but as you said, a lot of it's been short stuff for 128 yards. This time run all the way, trying to follow his tailback. Ball almost came loose in the middle. Channing Ward going to be credited with a stop right there. Number 11 gives him a tap on the helmet.
And this is looks like we have the last thing Ole Miss wants to see is another defender down.
And it looks like it's another lineman.
Holly just talked about how they have so many of their bigger bodies down. Robert Kimdichie is already out. We talked about C.J. Johnson, Carlos Thompson.
That's Woodrow Hamilton, another sophomore 300-pounder down right now. Celebrating its 9th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate's contributed more than $3 million in scholarship funds. Big Woodrow Hamilton walking around on the sideline. Hopefully he'll be able to return to the defensive front for Ole Miss, which has been depleted by injuries tonight and the last couple of weeks. Johnny Manziel, empty backfield on 2nd and 8. Zips it down the middle. He's got his man inside the 5, and it's Travis Labbert. 1st and goal, Aggies.
It's the arm strength of Manziel and really motioning the back out. Brad, it gives him 5 wide receiver look. And what it does is it creates more one-on-one matchups on the outside. He does a good job of coming off of that, showing patience and coming back into the middle of the Ole Miss defense.
Trey Carson with him in the backfield right now. 1st and goal. Here's some option. Manziel will keep it, and they'll bottle him up at the line of scrimmage. No gain. Mike Mary came around the backside to help out on the hit, and it'll be 2nd down and goal.
Well-schooled Ole Miss defense there, anticipating that option look. They sent the blitz, got pressure. Manziel had nowhere to go, but again, that's just well-schooled and just being prepared on that look from Johnny Manziel.
Now he's got 4 wide receivers out there. Trey Carson flanks him in the Aggie backfield, and now he'll flush out of there. So an empty set here. Manziel, couple of steps to his left, and here he goes, trying to score, and does. Touchdown, Aggies.
Not fair. It's just not fair. You know why I call that the backyard football play? Because that's what it looks like, doesn't it?
Yep, for sure.
He just drops back, let those 5 wide receivers run around, occupy as many defenders as possible, and then eventually make a few guys miss and dance into the end zone. He's been doing that the last 2 years. It's his signature move.
Lambeau in for the point after. Is up and good.
That's when they tell us that he's become more patient.
Just so he can run.
Yeah, just let him still do some of that.
A 5-yarder for the touchdown. Scrambles around, scores, and then talking about his standard move. Here's his other standard move after a touchdown. It's 21.
ESPN College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. Find your own lane at MitsubishiCars.com. And Charles Schwab. Own your tomorrow.
Johnny Manziel got a lot of attention earlier this year when he gave that sign, and everybody said, what's he doing giving that money sign? All he's doing, and I'm sure his buddy Drake is out there watching tonight. That's kind of a shout out to Drake, who's obviously one of the best artists in the world, and he's just kind of giving him a little respect by showing that sign.
Glad you cleared that up for me. That's what I used to do to my dad when he paid me to mow the lawn. I did the same thing, but it meant money to me.
Exactly.
It still does when Mr. Disney sends me a check. Taylor Bertolette to kick. And now the Rebels find themselves in a little deeper hole, and they can't afford another 3 and out like they had in their first series of this quarter. So they bring it out to the 25, and that's where they will start as we check in with Reese Davis. Reese.
Brad, SportsCenter right now brought to you by Ally Bank. First top 10 team to lose to an unranked opponent this season. Stanford goes down to Utah. Kevin Hogan's 4th down pass falls incomplete, and the Utes win at 27-21. That also shakes up the landscape in the national championship picture.
And Georgia losing 10-8 too, so a couple of top 10s go down.
You see a team like Stanford, you lose on the road at Utah. It just shows you what college football is all about.
Every week, yeah. Let's see if Ole Miss can get something going offensively. Play action for Wallace. Throws back across his body, but got it to his big tight end. And Evan Ingram picked up about 9 before he's run out of bounds as we check in with Holly.
Texas A&M free safety DeShazer Everett has not returned to the game since that left knee injury. You see him on the bike on the sideline. He hasn't been ruled out, but guys, I haven't seen him on the field yet.
All right, he's got Floyd Raven in there playing his spot right now, Holly. It's a big loss.
It's a significant loss. Floyd Raven does bring some experience. He's been banged up, and they've gotten him back tonight to be able to play. But you're talking about the leader and a guy who was able to line up the defense right for having so many young players. He gets people lined up and gets everybody on the same page in the back end.
Everett's had at least 7 tackles in the last 3 games, and he scored on a fumble return and an interception return for touchdowns in the last couple of weeks. That was almost a horse collar tackle by Howard Matthews on Itavius Mathers.
Mark Snyder telling us this week that I love Everett. He's my best corner, and he's my best safety.
It's my best everything back there.
Right.
Wallace, long throw to the sideline. Got it there, though. Vince Sanders, who has their touchdown, made the catch.
Get the ball out of Bo Wallace's hands fast, and you can almost sense that Ole Miss is really trying to get this tempo cranked up and try to be the aggressor to try to come after this A&M defense. It's a big 3rd down.
3rd down and 3. 3 out of 8 so far tonight. Here comes a blitz up the middle. Wallace will take off on his own, and he got it. I think he did. Ibioha pulled him down, but Bo Wallace is 210 pounds on a 6-foot frame, and he used it all right here.
A pretty gutsy effort here. A&M came with the blitz with Stephen Jenkins right up the middle, and he recognized that he could possibly get to that 1st down marker, so he just took a chance, and that toughness and physicality got him the 1st.
Now he brings in the other quarterback, Barry Brunetti, in there to give Wallace a breather. And again, he threw earlier in the ball game, so trying to keep the Aggies defense honest. This time he'll do what he's done so well and run it, and a nice gain on the play. Picked up 5.
Right away, A&M's defense changes their approach when Brunetti gets in there. Tony Hurd, the nickelback, walked right up to the line of scrimmage and blitzed. He took the dive away to keep Brunetti, forces him to hold on to the football, and then the middle linebacker Claiborne was scraping to the outside, so it's a different approach from A&M when Brunetti's in there.
Here's Mathers bouncing it off the first would-be tackler, and he got about 10 yards. So the biggest back they have, other than the quarterbacks, just pinballed his way to a 1st down at the 40.
Yeah, and Hugh Freeze deserves a lot of credit. Remember, they have struggled to run the football to the outside, which is their bread and butter. The adjustment is to bring in a bigger back like Mathers and try to run in to the teeth, right into the middle interior of the A&M defense.
And they got an extra lineman in there right now, too, and here comes Mathers again, but this time only a couple-yard gain. Isaiah Golden, the guy that's trying to hold that nose spot down, a freshman, a true freshman, made the tackle.
Mathers more of a slasher compared to Scott and Walton when he gets in there. Look at him because he is a much more physical back. And what this does when you start to run the football, it sets up their play action, whether it's throwing to the tight end Ingram or trying to get it thrown downfield to Moncrief.
This is the longest stay Brunetti's had in there. They go with Mathers again straight up the middle. Stransberry in on the tackle, but right now, as Wallace is on the sideline, Brunetti's got the Ole Miss Rebels gear going here.
Getting a good push up front. doing a good job of making the right reads when they're running zone read.
Again, they find themselves third down, but it's manageable. 3rd and 3. And driving for the first down is Jalen Walton this time. Obioha made the tackle, but he needed 3 and he got 4.
Remember, they talked about trying to stay in 3rd and short. It's the 4th time they've been at 3rd and 3 or less, and they've gotten all 4 of those 3rd downs.
So Barry Brunetti stays in there, senior out of Memphis, and he will throw out to Moncrief. And Moncrief tiptoes out of bounds. I think about the 26 is where they'll put it down.
You talked about how they have an extra lineman in there, Emmanuel McCray. They're using as a tight end. This time he'll be lined up to the bottom. Gives them an extra push there when they do decide to run the football.
320-pounder. High snap, Brunetti. Quarterback draw. And Brunetti, nice run. Down to the 20-yard line, maybe inside the 20.
And this time he followed his H-back, Nicholas Parker. Followed him right through the hole. And again, Brunetti, all he needs is a little bit of a crease. And he's got enough quickness to be able to pick up those yards. Just a nice attack here from Hugh Freeze, and a very different look from what we've seen from them most of the night.
And they're keeping it out of the hands of Johnny Manziel right now.
That's right. It's the best defense you can play.
Inside the 30's been their killer. 1 touchdown, 4 field goals. They got inside Alabama several times and came away goose eggs, about a foot shy of the first down.
And Hugh Freeze knew that for them to have a chance to pull off an upset, when they got their opportunities, they had to capitalize. They've been inside the 30 tonight 1 time and had the field goal. They get down in here, you're down 11, deep into this second half. They need to come up with touchdowns down here.
They're 15 of 19 in the red zone this year with 12 touchdowns. Would they love one here? 9 rushes so far. Here comes another one. Jalen Walton, first down.
Keeping these backs fresh. They continue to rotate, keeping Walton and Mathers in and out. This time Walton comes out, Mathers back in.
They've worked it to the 16-yard line of Texas A&M. Trying to make this a 4-point game if they can get a touchdown. Play action. Brunetti's going to throw. Got his man. Touchdown. Laquan Treadwell.
What a drive there, Brad.
Beautiful.
14 plays, 75 yards, and a touchdown. And Brunetti that time showing that, yes, he can throw. He came off of that play action look, and it was the recognition to see Treadwell early that gave him a chance of completing it and getting the touchdown.
Andrew Ritter for the point after. And they do make it a 4-point game. 5 minutes, 2 seconds remaining, third quarter. How about Barry Brunetti leading the drive, and for the first time this year he throws a touchdown pass. Couldn't have come at a better time. We got a game in Oxford. ESPN 4-point ball game in Oxford, and on that touchdown drive, Kirk, they only had 1 play of over 9 yards, and it was the one you're going to show us.
Well, they had so much success running the football that watch the A&M defense off of the action here. Brunetti is, again, known as a running quarterback, but the action here gets the defense out of position. A quick little fake here. Look at the safety. Look at the defensive end. It's going to allow the quarterback to run to the outside, and then Treadwell does a very good job of just sitting in the opening. The defense is out of position. Brunetti recognizes it early, and because he's able to recognize that, he got the ball out of his hands for that touchdown.
And if you're going to have a 14-play drive that goes 75 yards and you don't have a lot of big plays, you're going to have a lot of first downs. They had 6 first downs on the drive.
10 runs. When you run the football, that's what this offense is built upon. Running the football to set up their play-action pass game.
Ritter to kick. Crowd is into it right now at Vaught Hemingway. And the kicker's into it too. He blasts this one out of the back of the end zone. As they bring it out to the 25, we take it out to Reese Davis.
Brad, Dr. Pepper 10 conference update. Despite the fact that Stanford went down, there still are 2 undefeated teams in the Pac-12, Oregon and UCLA. Bruins taking on Cal. Brett Hundley to Devin Fuller, and Jim Mora's team up 10-0 already in the first. It's on ESPN2.
That's the one we'll be watching when this one's over. 5:02 remaining, third quarter here. Texas A&M with a 21-17 lead. Ole Miss was late running their defense out there. That's maybe because they're trying to find out what bodies they have left to put out there. Manziel, empty backfield. 5 receivers. Manziel to throw on first down, maybe. Directs traffic, fires on the sideline, caught on a crossing route. I don't even know if he was going to Travis Labbert. I thought he was going to throw it down the sideline, but Labbert came all the way across the field and made the catch.
Well, Ole Miss rushed 3. They used a spy. And how about Labbert all of a sudden developing right before our eyes and becoming a go-to guy for Johnny Manziel tonight?
Kind of a slot guy, senior out of Dallas. And he's had some big catches tonight, including that one for a first down at the 46. Here's another one, but only good for a couple of yards as we check in with Holly.
Labhart's not only doing it on the football field, but he was a men's practice player that helped the Texas A&M women's basketball team get really good. The year he was on the practice team, they won the national championship, so he's doing it all for the Aggies, basketball and football.
So he can hoop too.
He can do it all.
Pretty good stuff there.
That's Holly for you.
Holly comes digging in.
Second down rather, and 7. Trey Williams in the backfield with Manziel from the 49. Again, he goes that way. Same guy right at the first down marker and run out of bounds through the stick, actually, by Collins on the far side.
It's his 7th catch tonight, and you can see a comfort level from Manziel with Labbart because of the way he's throwing the ball before he's out of his break. And we came in anticipating and talking to Ole Miss. How do you stop Mike Evans? How do you stop Mike Evans? And tonight it's a different target.
Trey Williams brought down by Tony Connor. We've got a flag down.
It's a hold by A&M.
Holding. 74 offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Remains first down.
Jermaine Ifedi, redshirt freshman out of Houston, will take it back into the Aggies' end of the field.
He locked up with DT Shackelford, a linebacker who they're playing down some because of the lack of bodies up front. Just pulled him down.
So 1st and 20 back at the 46. 3 receivers to Manziel's right. He's looking that way. Goes that way. Complete. Malcolm Kennedy. Kennedy, a nice move to cut to the outside and get to the sideline. Knocked out by Trey Elston.
See that Denzel Kamdichi still not quite 100%. At time he had leverage on the football and Kennedy just ran away from him.
On 2nd and 8, Manziel goes the other way, and that's a first down to Edward Pope. So he's using a lot of different guys here on this drive.
He sure is, and that makes it very tough to defend him. You know, early in the year it was Mike Evans. Remember the big game he had against Alabama?
Yep.
Now you're getting to the midway point in the season. You're starting to see some of these other receivers develop and give him more weapons. It makes it so much tougher to know where he's going with the football.
Pickup of 9 on that one. First down now at the 32. Manziel over the middle, low but caught by Kennedy. That was a shoestring grab right at his shoestrings. 16 more yards, and we've got a Rebel defender down.
Well, that was a heck of an effort there from Kennedy, and the crowd's reacting from the replay up on the board. Remember, if he has possession of the ball, it can actually touch the surface as long as the surface doesn't help him secure the football.
Question was there a little bit of ground up rubber that came up on that ball right there? It made a little bit of a spot right about on the red line.
Such a judgment call to try to figure out whether or not a guy had possession of the ball and it can still touch the ground, or if the ground helped him get that control.
Great effort.
Boy, that's a heck of a catch.
The previous play was a catch on the field and a first down. The previous play is under further review.
So they are going to look at it. And they'll look at what we looked at. It was. Watch now and see if you can see that on the line, if there's a little bit of a black dent right there. That one you can't quite tell. But I'm talking about catching the bottom of the ball and catching it right at your feet. You see that little bit of poof?
Yeah, oh yeah. But then again, it can
do
touch
that
the
if he's
ground
got a hold of it.
if he's got a hold of it,
Yeah,
if he has possession.
I think he's got his mitts around it. Again, it was called a catch on the field, so that's going to be hard to turn around, I think.
After you win the Heisman, people ask, how can you get better as a quarterback? That is a heck of an effort, even if they overturn that. Looks like he has possession to me, but we'll see. Johnny Manziel, we asked him all year, how are you going to get better? You know, we've talked about George Whitfield helping him and trying to get in better position and following through. And I think he really has developed as a passer.
Yeah, he has.
To think about, this guy was more of an athlete when he came in. All that hard work he's put in, and I was with him out in San Diego. People that think he's just out partying and having a good time, they haven't seen this guy work. This guy is a relentless, competitive, hardcore gym rat when it comes to being a quarterback.
And his team rallies around him a lot more than people realize, I think, too, both in the locker room and on the field.
No doubt.
We asked Kevin Sumlin about what sets him apart, and he said he's the most competitive person. And we'll get the call.
After further review, the ruling is the ball hit the ground. Incomplete pass. Second down and 10 at the 32.
So we did have a little ground up rubber down there that showed itself. Completing that story, asked Kevin Sumlin, he says the most competitive person I've ever been around, and he said it's usually not that way with a quarterback. I'm talking about guys like Adrian Peterson, who he was around at Oklahoma. He said usually guys like that don't come in a quarterback body.
Think about that. Some of the people that he's been around as a coach, to say that this is one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive people he's been around.
Right.
Play him in ping pong. He's going to take you. It's game on.
Second down and 10. Here he is pump faking and going down the middle, and this one's right on target to the same guy. Malcolm Kennedy. They're not going to take this one away. And the forward progress is going to give him a first down.
Johnny Manziel just using a little pump fake here to get the attention of the defense. They think screen. See the entire defense moving to the defense's left. The offense's right. Opened up a huge hole. Just a little pump fake gets them to run out there. Huge hole in that zone coverage and a nice first down.
At the 15. A good looking drive. 8 plays coming up. Manziel scans the field, throws a little bit low again, but Lambert's got it, and it's down to the 10-yard line.
Is Lambert trying to be Ryan Swope tonight?
It looks like
He's got that feel. He's 15 instead of 25, but he's doing the best that he can to try to impersonate Ryan.
They can get a first down at the 5. Second and 5 here.
There's the big fella. If they get one-on-one, sometimes they like the fade and the back shoulder fade.
All 6'5" of them on the right side of Manziel. He looked that way, and now across the middle, it's intercepted in the end zone. And bringing it out to the 8-yard line is Keith Lewis.
He got a little greedy there.
Huge turnover. And now mockingly, the Ole Miss fans giving Johnny Manziel the sign.
Yeah, here's his receiver getting to the inside on a slant. It's a tough route to be able to squeeze in against this coverage. Look, they're bracketing him. You have 2 defenders, one on the inside, one on the outside. Manziel comes off of it, tries to squeeze it in there, trusts his arm strength a little bit too much. And that's great call there by Dave Womack, the defensive coordinator.
Bo Wallace comes in. I think the one thing Lewis would have liked to have done is maybe sat down in the end zone, because he brought it out on the run back only the 7, and Wallace going long. Just overshot Moncrief. Good coverage back there, though, by Devontae Harris. Well, for Johnny Manziel, that's his 5th interception that he's thrown this season.
Interesting call by Hugh Freeze on 1st and 10. Let's not forget the last drive that they had. 14 plays, 10 runs, backed up inside their own 10. And they come out and take a shot vertically down the field.
Remember that last drive, most of it was Brunetti. Now here's Wallace on a quarterback draw. Only got a couple. And it's going to bring up 3rd down and long from the 10-yard line. Big play by Lewis, though.
Mark Snyder has brought pressure. He's shown pressure in drops. It's a big opportunity for A&M's defense to try to get after Bo Wallace. They'll have to get the ball out of his hands quickly.
4 wideouts. They're bringing an extra man. Wallace down the middle, and he throws an interception. And it's Darian Claiborne, the freshman linebacker. They give it right back to the Aggies.
Brad Claiborne has had a huge night tonight. He just reads the eyes of the quarterback, Bo Wallace, and he leads him right to the football. He did this a little earlier tonight. It's a true freshman. Look at, you can see him in the background just sliding over to the inside receiver, and the only reason he is, look at the eyes. He's locked in on the eyes of the quarterback who drew him right in to coverage and where he needed to be. Big opportunity, we just said, for A&M's defense to create pressure and confusion. It's exactly what they were able to do there on 3rd down.
So the freshman out of Port Allen, Louisiana, who's the only Aggie to have led his team in tackles more than once this year, has his first interception as a collegiate player, and it's a huge one at the 20-yard line. Trey Williams, nice cut back inside the 15 to the 14.
So I think this is an answer. If you're Johnny Manziel and you're Texas A&M, Trey Williams just has a different gear. When he is in there and they keep their safeties high, they got to run the football with him.
Here's Manziel rolling right, throwing back across the middle. Almost caught by Labbert. He got hit pretty good, and the ball comes out. Trey Elston, the defender back there in the end zone.
Manziel taking another shot here. A very good effort. He actually had both hands on the football there, just unable to hold on to it.
And he goes out holding his elbow, I think, after that collision in the end zone. 3rd down and 4. This would be a huge stop for the Rebels after they gave it right back. Interception for interception. And I think there was some motion.
Yep, right tackle.
It'll be a false start. And Obuehi.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 70, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Kevin Sumlin, since the end of the 2010 season, when he was at Houston, 27-4. One of the hottest coaches in the country. And he's got the number 9 team in here, but he's got his hands full in the waning moments of the 3rd quarter. Crowd's going to try to help the cause here. 3rd down and 9. Johnny Manziel pressured. He's going to run, and he's going to get dragged down by Sir Darius Bryant.
You know, they've been using Mike Hilton in that role as a spy, and this time they go with Bryant. And he's been abused at times. He's right in the middle. He's just reading Manziel. Manziel gets away. He's been able to get to that corner earlier in this game, and this time Bryant takes a much better angle and makes a play in space against Manziel.
And that ends the 3rd quarter. The 4th quarter on the SEC on ESPN is going to be a field goal attempt upcoming, and then 15 more exciting minutes. Hang around.
Visit WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app to watch ESPN live anytime, anywhere. Brought to you by Vizio.
We start the 4th quarter in Oxford in a tight one, 21-17. A&M with a lead. They'll try to add to it right here on the first snap of the quarter. Josh Lambo comes in to try a 37-yard field goal. Lambo's kick. This time it's good. So we tack on 3 more for the Aggies, and there's a touchdown difference in this one. 1 snap into the 4th quarter. Next week, going to be a good one. Kirk's going to be there. Death Valley next Saturday night.
Next Saturday, The Florida State Seminoles will enter Death Valley in an epic showdown under the lights to take on the Clemson Tigers with ACC and BCS title implications on the line. Florida State, Clemson, next Saturday, 8 Eastern on ABC.
You're going to have some fun on that one.
Game day will be there with the losses today of Stanford and Georgia. Florida State all of a sudden moves up, probably 3 against 4.
Yeah,
in that matchup.
Clemson had a tough time early today against Boston College, and then Todd Boyd and company got it geared up, so they won, and that'll be a huge game for the ACC.
It will be, and I think there's the difference with this year's Clemson team in years past. You know, they found a way. They didn't show up. They didn't have the fastball today,
right,
but they found a way to kind of regroup there in the second half and found a way to win that game.
So now we got a touchdown game, and Taylor Bertolette will tee it up. Jalen Walton and Kayla Moore are waiting on the other end. So that Darian Claiborne interception of Bo Wallace turned into a 37-yard field goal from one quarter to the other. This one's returnable. Walton a yard deep. Jalen Walton across the 20. Heading to the corner. Walton 40. He's out near midfield. Great run back by Jalen Walton.
An outstanding block following the other return man back there, Moore. Watch 4. He's just going to follow him. Bang, right there. He picks up a block there, and then it's just speed trying to get to the edge. He makes the kicker miss. He almost got the corner there and took it to the house.
Great return. 49 yards, and that's where it sets up shop for Barry Brunetti, who's back out there at quarterback. Again, they go with the extra lineman. This worked on their touchdown drive that Brunetti capped off with a 16-yard touchdown pass. Let's see if they try to grind it here a little bit. He'll keep it. And Brunetti, he's got 10, 12, and run out of bounds. They're looking for a flag over there on the Ole Miss sideline and don't get it.
This is a great read by Brunetti. Comes out to the outside, bounces it. Once he gets out there, the defense is actually occupied. Look at the great blocks downfield that time. Treadwell, the young true freshman, picks up a nice block to get him to the third level of that defense.
Herbie Brunetti got hurt on that end of that run, being tossed out of bounds, so Wallace comes back in at quarterback, and they're shifting up their line again. They are going to stay with an extra lineman, I think.
Yeah, McCray is still out there. Off to the right is a tight end.
And now Wallace trying to do the same thing Brunetti did. Only got about 2, and he's run out of bounds over there where they're working on Brunetti.
This formation, because of the size of McCray as a tight end at 320 pounds, gives this A&M defense that, let's face it, they've struggled for much of the year defending the run. And not the last drive where Wallace threw the interception, but the previous drive where they went 14 plays, 10 runs, and a lot of it was just not just good job by Brunetti. He was controlling the line of scrimmage up front.
You see Brunetti trying to warm up that right shoulder. That's what he landed on over there. Now Wallace play fake and down the seam and almost got his tight end. Had that out a little bit too far in front of him.
That was a tight window, and it was a really good job by the freshman Claiborne again. He bit up on the play action for a second, but then he got back and he got in the way, and it forced Wallace to have to put a little bit more air on it than he wanted to.
Seems like a little bit of confusion right now for Ole Miss. I don't think they have enough bodies out there. Now finally they hustle out Burton, the right tackle. They were a man shy, and it's an important 3rd down and 8. They still have time though. Play clock at 8. 3 wideouts to the left of Bo Wallace, but he wants to come back the other way. Now he does go left, and he overthrew everybody and it was almost picked off.
Jacobs just let that ball slip through his fingers. It's the 2nd 3rd down and long that Bo Wallace just didn't look comfortable back there. He had time to make that throw. Ball just sailed on it.
Now do you try a 53-yard field goal or do you go for it on 4th down?
I think you go for it.
That's what it looks like Coach Freeze is going to do. Well, maybe not. Nope. Here comes the field goal unit. There was some hesitation. Wallace looked like he wanted to go for it, but they decided to try a long field goal. This will be a 53-yard attempt. 52 is his longest this year. And I think there's a whistle before the kick. He missed the field goal, and flags are down. If this is offsides, this is going to give him another crack at it.
Timeout. Ole Miss. That is their first timeout of the second half.
So they got the timeout before the missed kick, and that might come back to be a very good timeout with 13:32 to play. Football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. 4th down, and Hugh Freeze has decided to gamble on 4th down and long. Might have been out of field goal range. They're going to take a crack at it here at the 36-yard line of the Aggies.
It's always a pooch punt, too, from the quarterback. It's a one-possession game right now. Every possession matters.
Whoa.
Free play.
And he's going to take a shot for Moncrief. Incomplete. But Tony Hurd came flying across the line, and now it's going to be 4th down. And
offside. Defense. Number 4. 5-yard penalty. It remains 4th down.
4th down and 3 now. Now do you go again, or now do you kick a field goal?
I still go for it, because 4th and 3 is much more manageable for their style of offense. But how about the throw? You got a free play. Give your guy a chance, right?
Yep.
If they intercept it, it's 5 yards.
Yes.
Just give him a chance.
Well, they're going again. On 4th and 3, they got to get to the 28-yard line. Aggies shifting on their defensive front. And now everybody's going to look to the sideline again.
And A&M will change with them. If they make an adjustment, you may see A&M back out of their looks.
Rebels missed on their other 4th down tonight. Wallace across the middle, and he's got it down to the 11-yard line. To Adebayo.
Interesting that A&M's adjustment to Ole Miss adjusting was they walked up Harris there to try to jam him, but he didn't get a very good jam and gave him a free release, so the timing was still there that time with Wallace and his receiver.
21-yard pickup, Kirk, and it's just outside the 10-yard line as Brunetti comes back in. And now they're going to go with their extra heft on the front. And Brunetti will run it all the way. Only got 1.5 yards though. Might have slipped a little bit on his own, but he has it inside the 10-yard line. 1 touchdown difference. 12:45 remaining, and Ole Miss driving.
It's a gutsy call, going for it. They've had a tendency to show a willingness to do that. Down 7 in the 4th quarter. I love the call by Hugh Freeze to give his players a chance to execute. Showed confidence in them, and they delivered for him. Now they got to try to punch it in. It's been an area again the last few weeks. It's been troublesome, but that long drive that they had, they were able to punch it in for a touchdown.
Mathers is in the backfield with Brunetti, and they fake it to him, and they throw, and a wide open tight end Ingram touchdown. How about that? The non-throwing quarterback with his 2nd of the night.
And if you're an Ole Miss fan and you watch the first 3 weeks of the season, this is the kind of offense that you like to see. Running the football, getting the linebackers and safeties out of position because of the respect to the run game. And then the quarterback, it makes it so much easier on the play-action pass.
Extra point, an all-important one is good.
And how about the touch there by Brunetti?
Perfect. First of all, they had to come up with a huge 4th down. And on the toss to Adebayo, you say Adebayo, and then you go to Ingram. Touchdown. Tie game in Oxford.
ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. Feel the Hamptonality. And in part by Acura RLX. Discover more about the Acura RLX at acura.com/RLX.
24-24. 12:10 remaining in regulation in Oxford. And Barry Brunetti, who hadn't thrown a touchdown pass this year, has 2 in this half. The last one capping off a 51-yard touchdown drive. And now Andrew Ritter will kick away. Trey Williams and Ben Molina are back deep for the Aggies. Backpedaling, and this one won't be returned as we take a look at tonight's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate. Good hands by the quarterback and the tight end, Kirk.
Yeah, and to be able to run play action effectively, you have to affect the linebackers because their eyes get affected. Here's Ingram, who's going to slide out, but watch the action from Brunetti, faking it right there. It locks the linebackers in, and then the nice touch over the top of the linebackers. Darian Claiborne, the freshman, out of position along with Steven Jenkins. And a nice little touch there by Brunetti to get the ball into Ingram for that touchdown.
Now it's time for the Heisman Trophy winner to take over. Johnny Manziel and the Aggies from their own 25-yard line. And he's all alone in the Aggie backfield. Manziel, quick throw, complete. Walker broke 1 tackle, and he's got a first down. And that quiets the crowd.
For people that have just maybe tuning in and watching, Ole Miss defense doing a very good job of mixing up their looks and trying to contain Johnny Manziel.
Again, they go quick here, and the ball is out, and Ole Miss has got it.
Well, that's a great job there by Channing Ward. It looked like the defensive end, number 11, gets his hand on that football right there and just kind of rips at it. And the ball goes clearly up in the air before his knee touches. And look at all those blue jerseys. They've been pursuing the football all night tonight, hoping that they'd get a ball on the ground. And that time, boy, they capitalized on it. And they give Bo Wallace outstanding field position here.
Manziel was carrying it a little bit away from his body, and it cost him dearly. Bo Wallace keeps this one after faking it to Mathers, and he gets very little, if any, gain.
He predetermined what to do with the football there instead of making the read. They've had some success with both Wallace and Brunetti on the zone read, and this time I think he was anticipating the read, and he pulled it the wrong time.
Don't you wonder why Brunetti, after that last touchdown drive, is not their quarterback? He's maybe wondering the same thing.
The offense has a different flow to it when they go with that bigger look when they bring in McCray as a tight end. 2nd
down and 9 for Wallace. He has to throw to Mathers to get rid of it. Mathers cutting back to the middle of the field. Now he's got blocking. Mathers, first down and more. Mathers all the way to the 9-yard line. Now he stepped out of bounds, I think, back at the 19.
Boy, what an effort here by Mathers not to just give up on the play and just, he takes this ball, and you think he might go off to the right. Instead, he goes right back against the grain of the defense. Look at the effort and the block there by Jalen Walton to try to give him more room to work.
He did step out with his right foot. Great job by the official on the sideline, as they'll bring it back to the 19-yard line. But they're in the red zone. 11 minutes to go. Tie game.
And they go back to Brunetti, and they bring in the big tackle, McCray, as a tight end off to the left here.
Mathers, one of our impact players, and he's showing up tonight. But now a timeout. Some confusion with the switch of quarterbacks, the switch of linemen. They don't want to waste a golden opportunity. They're down to one timeout, but they're threatening against the Aggies. Earlier today, the mobile studio, DirecTV Drive to the National Championship mobile studio, has been traveling across the country following the biggest stories in college football. That was earlier today here in Oxford. TJ and the guys down there, it's where I'm heading as soon as this game's over. Cooper Manning has taken Archie's spot or seat. Eli almost came down. I had him Thursday night in NFL action, and he was going to make the trip down, but decided to spend some time with his wife and 2 daughters.
He'd probably love to come down here and get some loving down here.
A big shift by Ole Miss to empty the backfield for Bo Wallace. Bo's in trouble and got away from one man. Now throws on the run to the end zone. Touchdown, Laquan Treadwell.
You know, we've been talking tonight a lot about Brunetti. And we've been hard at times on Bo Wallace. But how about the effort there to pull away from Alonzo Williams and keep that play alive?
If he doesn't keep the play alive, he's sacked, and it's a nightmare. As it is, somehow eluded the would-be tackler and throws it on the run, a 19-yard touchdown. Extra point is good.
And it's the second time that Howard Matthews, a safety, got caught with his eyes in the backfield. 31, he's off here to the left. His eyes get off of the man he's on. He's starting to watch the game. He's watching the quarterback, and look at the wide receiver back in the corner. You see him kind of be a little frustrated, a little clap of the hand saying, oh man, that's my bad. But that's the second time he's come off of a receiver and left a wide receiver all alone for an Ole Miss touchdown.
And the freshman receiver from Illinois has his second touchdown catch of the night. 41-yard drive after the fumble recovery in just 3 plays. And Bo Wallace loads and fires to the corner. And now the Rebels are leading the number 9 team in the country by a touchdown.
I don't know what Johnny Manziel's laughing, maybe hoping for a heroic finish, or not a good look from the quarterback from Texas A&M after his defense gives up a go-ahead touchdown with 10:36 to go.
Maybe just appreciating what his counterpart did. A little bit of Johnny Manziel's own medicine to escape in the pocket and keep his eyes downfield. Well, now we got a situation. We've already had some upsets today in the top 10. Will another one happen here in Oxford, Mississippi? We're about to find out in the next 10.5 minutes. Ritter's kick. This one should be returnable for Ben Molina with his foot right on the goal line. I beg your pardon, that's Trey Williams. And Williams gets out to the 25-yard line as we check in with Reese Davis.
Brad, you've got high drama in Oxford. Taco Bell studio update. Not so much in Tempe. Arizona State and Colorado, and Todd Graham's teams opening up at Canton. Taylor Kelly to Cameron Smith. That would set up very next play. Taylor Kelly gets it to Devon Coleman. Arizona State putting up a big number. It's 47-6 at half.
Thanks, Reese. Johnny Manziel fumbled the last time he touched it. On first down, he's got all day to throw. And now he's going to run instead. Serdarius Bryant finally wrapped him up.
He's the spy. They rush 3, willing to give Manziel all day to throw the football. 8 in coverage. Eventually Manziel tries to create to make something happen, but Bryant, as the spy, ends up bringing Manziel down.
He tweaked that left knee in the first quarter. If you just saw him, he's readjusting the brace underneath his pants on that left knee. On second down and 9. A deafening cry of defense here at Vaughn Hemingway Stadium. Manziel in trouble again. Throwing on the run and throws it away.
You know, it's easy to look at Johnny Manziel. We're so used to him making plays, but I got to tell you something. These wide receivers are just kind of looking around and looking back. They're covered, and they should be used to Manziel creating and improvising and trying to help him, bail him out. Mike Evans, halfway through the route, he just kind of looked back and was watching him.
He's only got 2 catches for 17 yards. And if you think it was loud on second and 9, let's try third and 9. Manziel, quick throw, complete, first down, and Walker spins and gets all the way down into Ole Miss territory. Nice second effort.
And they're going to go tempo here. That was a perfectly thrown football by Johnny Manziel. Hit the outside shoulder away from the defender, and a heck of an effort there by Walker to give that play a chance. He shook a defender and picked up more yards to get across midfield.
That takes the crowd out of it temporarily, but here they come again. First and 10. A&M trailing by a touchdown. Manziel, deep middle, and what a strike thrown to Kennedy. inside the 30, down to the 28-yard line.
Again, going tempo here, the middle of the defense, because they're sitting in cover 2. The safeties are back. He's throwing it right behind the linebackers.
Here comes Molina, and Molina blasts it up in there for a quick 7 yards as we check in with Holly.
Guys, keep in mind the most sure tackler on this Ole Miss defense, Mike Hilton, has been out for the last 2 defensive series. He was cramping severely. They took him to the locker room. He did get an IV, but he's been on the bike. You can see that missed tackle when number 11 got loose. They really need their best tackler out there right now.
Just hopped off that bike, but he is still trying to jog it off down there. I don't know if that's Trey Elston or DeHendrick Collins, one of the two, I think, that's down for Ole Miss.
One of the things, Brad, that we see, remember this week even with Stanford and Washington, a game that you did, where Steve Sarkisian after the game said, you know, with our tempo in the second half, we feel that Stanford was maybe faking injuries to slow the game down.
A couple of starting linebackers came out, but for only one play. David Shaw said, we don't play that way. Timeout. The most storied conference in college athletics will live on a new network. Traditions found a new home, launching in August 2014, the SEC Network. Get more info at www.getsecnetwork.com. Brad Nessler, Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe, and our ESPN crew, Vaught Hemingway Stadium, Oxford, Mississippi, where the number 9 team in the country trails by a touchdown. But Johnny Manziel trying to lead him back to a tie game. Wanted to throw and finally does late. Got it to Kennedy. That should be a first down.
And Manziel got blown up after he threw the ball, and that's where the official threw a flag. I don't know if it's going to be roughing. And as soon as Manziel threw the football, he got hit high.
Right in the chin strap.
Looked like Lewis, who came up with an interception earlier in the game.
Here's the call from our referee, Matt Moore.
Personal foul, targeting. Number 24 of the defense. The ball go half the distance from the end of the run. Number 24 has been disqualified.
Okay, so they'll review that.
The previous play is under further review.
We already had Trey Elston, the other defensive back, earlier in the ball game with a penalty that stood, but he continued playing after they reviewed it. Now we'll take a look at this one.
Well, it looks like he hits him in the chest there initially. Again, for people that get confused with the rule, it's not the crown of the helmet. Doesn't have to be helmet to helmet. When you're a defenseless player and it's targeting any part of your body as a defender to the headgear in any form at all. Could be a forearm, could be a shoulder, could be anything. The initial blow to me looks like it's in the chest, and then he went up to the head. I think he'll be brought back on the field.
The other thing, unless they think that he was launching his body, it's kind of hard to tell.
The penalty should hold up here. Well, the penalty will hold up, but he should be brought back out onto the field.
Almost looked like he tried to bring his arms back and slow himself down. But again, he went from low to high, and that could come into play too.
Pretty good throw by Manziel, considering that Lewis was closing in on
Yeah, you think?
him, you know? He knew what was coming.
Yeah, he just kind of brushes it off over there. He's fine, just waiting for the ruling from the replay official.
We've kind of forgotten about that left knee, you know, that tweak that he had early in the game.
Here's the call.
After further review, ruling is reversed. Number 24 may stay in the game.
So second time we've had that turned around. Here's the other thing. Well, that's a penalty. I mean, that's the other thing they got to look at for next year, whether or not, if you're not going to get ejected.
What's the point in calling it?
Right.
But for fans, I think they always should throw the flag just to make sure, and then let the guys upstairs look at it, and then you can bring him back onto the field and not disqualify him. So it's always good, even if it's a gray area, to make the call, and then they can correct it upstairs.
Well, in all of that, it's first and goal as the Aggies are trying to tie it up. They give the handoff. What a quick move by Trey Williams. And he's in. Touchdown. Boy, he's fast.
Yeah, he just has a different gear. Ben Molina, Trey Carson are good backs, but there's just a different feel when number 3 gets the football. How about Tony Connor there trying to make a play there? There aren't too many defenders in America that are one-on-one with Trey Williams that can make that play, and he gets to the corner for the touchdown. Pretty good answer there by the Aggies after getting down by 7.
Last 6 games, dating back to last year, Trey Williams averaging about 8 yards a carry. He just went 9 yards for an all-important touchdown. And here's a point after that's even bigger. And it's up and good for Lambeau. Didn't take the Aggies long to go 75 yards for Kevin Sumlin, tie game. So we're down to 8 minutes, 13 seconds, 75-yard march. Kirk 7 plays, took him just a little over 2 minutes, and Johnny Manziel does what Johnny Manziel does.
He was a great answer by Manziel, and now we're going to see how Bo Wallace and Barry Brunetti try to attack. Remember this second half, one of the adjustments that Hugh Freeze has made is getting Brunetti on the field with McCray, that backup offensive lineman, as a tight end.
Right.
And it's been really, really effective.
And remember, Walton got a great kickoff return the last time they were in this situation to set him up to go on a short field. And there he is, Jalen Walton, back waiting on the kick. Ole Miss finally home after 5 weeks on the road and a lot of late nights. They'll have a late night party here in Oxford if they can upset number 9 Texas A&M from the 8-yard line. And nice coverage that time, as Moore only got to about the 22-yard line. Well, Andrew Luck and the Colts looking to stay on a winning track. They head out west, take on Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. Monday Night Football coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown at 6:30. Then it's the Colts and the Chargers at 8:25. A couple of pretty good quarterbacks, kind of the old and the new. Even though Phillip Rivers has been around so long, you think he's old, and he's not. And it seems like he's rejuvenated this year, put up some big numbers. And Andrew Luck and the Colts, one of the hot young teams in the NFL. So Bo Wallace turn. Giving it off to Jalen Walton. And Walton, nice run. 7 or 8 yards before Jenkins takes him out of bounds.
You know, they've been running the football so much more downhill that this time, to start this drive, they go back to the style of offense that we saw against Vanderbilt in Texas, where they get it around the corner, where they outflank the defense.
Jeff Scott has played very little tonight, Herbie.
Yeah, they've been going more with Mathers and Walton because of the a little bit more powerful runners.
Treadwell has got a couple of touchdowns. The freshman's got a first down there out near the 40-yard line.
Well, Treadwell has a great future, and you know, really this year, 6'3", 215 pounds. You have to be impressed with how he's been able to pick up this system and playing in the SEC. That is a tough thing to do, but it seems like he gets better every single week. And again, they're getting the ball out of Bo Wallace's hands as quickly as they can with that soft coverage.
I don't know that A&M was even set defensively as they go right back to Treadwell, who was one of the top recruits at the wide receiver position in the whole country last year. Mark Snyder trying to slow down the Rebels here, have got something working again with 7:20 to go.
And he's got to get the call in quick, because the defense with this tempo, the big thing with tempo is just getting lined up, getting the call and getting lined up and ready to play.
This time they are lined up. Here's Treadwell again in a wide out screen. Got a block, and he might have gotten a first down. And that was great second effort by the 6'3", 215-pound freshman.
Well, that was impressive. They're getting the football to him, and it's pretty good blocking too. Ingram, the tight end, they used in motion to get him out there to be able to pick up a block against Jenkins. He's pushing him, and look at the strength that time by Treadwell.
He edged it into Aggie territory at the 49-yard line. On the ground, that one stopped for no gain and a loss, and out comes a helmet, and that's going to be the loss of a play here for one of the offensive linemen. That was Justin Bell, who's going to have to come out for a play. 345-pound guard. And Austin Golson, a true freshman, comes in for him.
They've been rotating so many different bodies up there. Golson usually gets about 40 snaps a game, so it's pretty good continuity no matter who is in there with this group. They've got about 6 or 7 guys. They've been rotating in and out most of the game.
Second down, 11. Wallace rides the tailback and throws a streak down the sideline. And it's Walton, and he's gone. Touchdown, Ole Miss.
A beautiful wheel route by Walton out of the backfield. The defense occupied with Dante Moncrief, and they snuck him out of the backfield. A well-designed play and a perfect time to call it. They haven't shown it all night. And they caught Howard Matthews, who's had a rough night tonight in coverage one-on-one with the back, and he couldn't stay with him.
Extra point is good. We mentioned Jalen Walton set him up the last time they started a scoring drive with a long kick return. This one even bigger.
Dante Moncrief is a guy off to the right that can occupy most of the defense's attention. Watch him take the corner Harris with him. And when he takes him to the inside, it opens this up to the outside. And you're asking a linebacker whose eyes are in the backfield or a safety to try to run with a running back who's going full speed. Everybody's out of position. Eyes are in the backfield looking at the quarterback. And you got a tailback sneaking out on a wheel route going right down the sideline. Another good throw this time by Bo Wallace. And that A&M defense is out of position. When the Ole Miss has been able to run the football, it's occupied the eyes of the A&M defense, and it's opened up some big play opportunities off the play-action pass.
How about this, Kirk? Mississippi with 5 touchdown passes, 4 in the second half, 2 by each guy. Not bad.
Sharing the wealth back there. We're ready to hand it off to Barry Brunetti, and Wallace is saying, wait a second,
I'm the starter.
Yeah, it's a 4-quarter game now, fellas.
So Wallace with a 50-yard strike. Up by 7, the Rebels again with 6 minutes and change remaining. Well, we said about 3 hours ago maybe we'd have a shootout. We got a shootout.
Yeah, second half has lived up to it. Ole Miss scoring, what, 21 points here in the 4th quarter alone?
Ritter's kick. And again, they'll bring it out to the 25-yard line, and that's where Johnny Manziel will go to work. You can go to work with Chris Berman and the gang on Sunday NFL Countdown, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. All the latest news and updates around the league. And then at 11 on ESPN2, catch Fantasy Football Now for the latest news, injury reports, and predictions for the top fantasy performers.
You just have that feeling here. Late in the game, it's going to come down to a mistake. Can one of these defenses create a turnover? Can they capitalize on an opportunity? Can they get these quarterbacks in an uncomfortable position? Ole Miss gets their chance here with a 7-point lead to try to do it to Manziel.
Quick throw, complete, short gain to Evans. Again, everything's been in front of the Ole Miss defense as far as Mike Evans is concerned.
Remember, this is Johnny Manziel typically at his best. Last year, they're down 27-17 to Ole Miss. He scrambled for a touchdown, ended up throwing a touchdown, and it come from behind win that kind of got the Johnny Manziel hype started before the Bama game. Here he's afforded another opportunity on the road here, and this same environment against this Rebels defense.
5.5 to go. 2nd and 7. Manziel, deep middles, got him. Kennedy again across midfield. And number 84 has been huge tonight.
Also, this time, the offensive line gives Manziel enough time because this play took a while for Kennedy to be able to get away from the defender. Almost trying to, I think they got caught with 12 men on the field.
I don't see a flag yet, but I don't think he was to the sideline. I agree with you.
And he was sprinting to try to get off to the sideline, but boy, that offensive line gave Manziel on that previous play enough time. That was a big throw right into over the linebacker and safety there. And that's the thing with Manziel. You contain him for a play or two, and then he hits you for a big one for 25 yards.
Doesn't have a touchdown pass yet. And now it's Molina. And he's collared by Collins. Short of the first down. 3rd down coming up at the 5-minute mark.
Rushing 3 and using the spy with Bryant. A&M has had to run the football just because of numbers to their advantage. Bryant is going to spy him here again here on this 3rd down.
3 wideouts to Johnny Manziel's left. They'll keep it on the ground, and Williams is dropped for a loss. Isaac Gross with a tackle. And a loss of 2.
What a great job here of getting penetration from Ole Miss. Just beats his man up front, went right by Mike Matthews. They've been slanting and angling and stunning and trying to give them different looks, even though they're typically only rushing 3. That was a big play by the Rebels defense.
Aggies might not get another chance to touch it if they don't get this 4th down with under 4 minutes to go. 4th and 7. You'll know in a minute if Texas A&M gets it. Manziel to run, and he did get it. Took a shot, but he got about 15 yards, and he's slow to get up. Serdarius Bryant is down.
That was a vicious hit between Van Zel and Serdarius Bryant. Manziel did not slow down at all as he took off trying to get this 1st down on 4th and 7. You'll see Bryant right in the middle of the screen trying to come up and trying to slow him down, and it's a very violent hit.
Again, Manziel on 4th down and needing a play, again finds a way to make it. And on the end of it, a collision with Serdarius Bryant, the junior out of Sanford, Florida, who's a huge part of this Ole Miss defense, one of their best players, if not the best player through 6 weeks.
You know, obviously the game on the line, as you said, for A&M, and a tremendous effort there by Johnny Manziel, doing what he can do on those 3rd and down. Yeah,
here comes the gurney.
This is
yeah, we got second here to 10 to Serdarius Bryant, and let's check in with Reese Davis. Reese.
All right, Brad, while they attend to the injured player there, best goes out to him. Get you up to date on baseball. American League Championship Series. Tigers beat the Red Sox 1-0. They lead the series 1-0. First time in Major League Baseball history we've had a postseason day in which both games were decided by 1-0 scores. Cardinals beat the Dodgers by that score earlier in the day.
You don't think there's not a lot of prayers being said over there and a lot of respect for these two teams. A lot of guys on a knee, including Johnny Manziel, who had that collision with Serdarius Bryant, and they've brought the stretcher out. And we can't quite see whether or not they're just trying to stabilize him down there. This is the part of football that you know is going to happen at times, and then you just start praying that it's going to be all right for Serdarius Bryant. And of course, the folks in this part of the state and in this stadium know the Chucky Mullins story, and I don't even want to pretend that we had the same kind of situation, but you cross your fingers, and you can hear a pin drop in here right now because these folks know all about that. And we've had a great football game. And there's Chucky's number, of course, worn by Mike Mary, the linebacker, tonight in honor of Chucky Mullins, the Chucky Mullins Courage Award, and that's a huge honor to wear that number around here.
Bryant's had a heck of a night tonight. He's been involved in a number of plays. He's been asked to be the spy on Johnny Manziel most of the night. He's really played well.
And had 12 tackles tonight, including that last one, trying to bring down Johnny Manziel short of the first down. We got all the trainers and, of course, the head coaches out there. .59 junior out of Sanford, Florida, who's had probably the best defensive night of anybody on either team tonight.
You know, Holly was talking earlier about when Denzel Kimdichie went down with an injury earlier in the year. It opened up an opportunity for Bryant to step in, and he took advantage of it.
Yep.
Even when Denzel came back, he was still out there because he was playing so well earlier in the year.
And we were asking the coaches yesterday, are you going to have Kimdichie and Bryant out there at the same time? And they said absolutely, and at times they have been. And that's just step one right now, is they're going to get Cerdarius to the locker room first, and then I'm sure to medical facility second. And Johnny Manziel, the Heisman Trophy winner. Everybody's in this together. You both want to win, but you're playing the same game, and everybody knows how rough it can be and that injuries can occur.
Players are trying to get over to him. You see the staff just trying to keep him away for now.
And I'm sure we're not going to know anything tonight, but to Cerdarius and his family and his teammates, we will say our prayers and hope it's not as serious as it looks right now. Meanwhile, we have to go back to the football game. Check in with Holly quickly.
Well, guys, you hear from the crowd a thumbs up. He's conscious. He has been talking to the people who responded. But what concerns me is that immediately when the athletic trainers ran out there and saw him, they immediately put up a crossed arm signal, which signaled they immediately wanted the stretcher to come out. So they knew right away it was something that they were concerned about.
Okay, thanks, Holly. Now it's rally time for his defensive teammates. Manziel on first down. Crossing route, a wide open Mike Evans. Evans, a hurdle job down inside the 10, and it's first and goal for the Aggies.
I know he's a basketball player. I didn't know he's track and field too. He gets elevation here. Remember, he's 6'5". He goes over Tony Connor, 12, who's right there, up and over him.
First and goal at the 6-yard line. Manziel rolling to throw, puts the brakes on and comes back the other way, and now he's going to run to the corner. Touchdown. Johnny Manziel, a 6-yard touchdown sprint to the corner, and we're a point away from being tied again.
Say whatever you want about Johnny Manziel. He's the guy that if you can watch one player in college football play, you want to watch him. You just never know what he might do. That's a 6-yard touchdown run, but he rolls right, feels the flow of the defense, the overflow, cuts back and gets to the corner. That's twice now that they've had to answer, and they've come up and answered the bell.
Now it might be a matter of who's got the ball last and who's going to win it. 3:07 remaining, 38-38.
This is stuff you just can't teach. This is an athletic quarterback who has a sense and a feel of when to do this. He felt the backside defensive end closing, and he knew that he could get back around him. Just great vision and feel of the entire field.
Think about the two collisions he's taken on this 75-yard drive. One with Bryant in there at the goal line with Cody Pruitt. But he just got into the end zone, slid into the pylon, 6-yard touchdown. So on 4th down and a mile, he picks up the first down they needed. And at the 6-yard line, he picks up the touchdown that they needed. 75 yards and 8 plays, just under 3 minutes to score the touchdown and tie it up again.
That's 52 points combined in the second half alone for these two teams.
Bertolette to kick. Moore and Walton are back deep, and when Walton's touched it, good things have happened. He had a long kickoff return. He's on the far side at about the 10-yard line. He had a long kickoff return. He had a 50-yard touchdown reception the last time the Rebels offense had it. And with 3 minutes and 7 seconds remaining, A&M's got all its timeouts. Ole Miss has only one. Kicks it deep. Too deep to return for Moore. And they'll bring it out to the 25. Time for our Discover Game Changer. First of all, Brunetti in there, quarterback, kind of shocked everybody with a touchdown pass.
Yeah, he's shown an ability to make some plays through the air. They've been able to run the football, and it's really set up more of the play-action pass game. That was a heck of an effort there by Bo Wallace, and here he just ends up hitting his running back, who acts as a receiver, Walton, right in stride, and this Ole Miss offense has really come alive here in the second half.
They'd like to go on a 3-minute, 7-second drive to win right here. I think they take a field goal on the last play of the game. A little bit of confusion. They can't afford to take a timeout here with only one remaining. Wallace, play action, throws high, almost picked off. Howard Matthews. Incomplete at 2nd and 10.
That's a great play by Howard Matthews. He's had a tough night. He's been out of place from time to time in coverage. He's given up some touchdowns. He jumps on this route, almost comes up with an interception for A&M. Dangerous throw by Bo Wallace.
2nd down from the 25. Play action. Wallace throws and should have been caught. Maybe thinking about where he was going was Jamez Logan, and the ball didn't go with him.
Remember, drops were a problem against Auburn last week for Ole Miss's wide receivers. That ball is perfectly thrown.
3rd down and 10. What you don't want to do is give it back to that guy. Three wideouts to the top of your screen for Bo Wallace. They need 10 yards. He looks that way and now comes back the other way. Throws on the run and incomplete. Dante Moncrief, the intended receiver, and they're going to have to give it up.
Bo Wallace had time and had Moncrief earlier. He just wasn't able to get his shoulders turned and I think feel confident in delivering the football. By the time he did bait the defender to come towards him, it was too late.
Devontae Harris back to return Tyler Campbell's punt. Not a great kick. He's going to take it on one hop at the 28. Oh, and did he get leveled after the first wave of blue jerseys went by. 2:33 to play. Johnny Manziel tonight. Hell, he's been Johnny Manziel a few times, that's for sure. As Kirk said, doing some things you can't teach, especially on the ground. That's where he hurt his knee, but they put a brace on it and he's played the rest of the game. And he's done things like this. A couple of touchdown runs. Tied the game up, and now the game is in his hands. 2:33 to go.
This is what he loves. This is what he lives for the challenge of trying to drive his team down to win the game.
Amazingly enough, he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass, but you saw the 2 on the ground. On a crossing route, he's got a wide open Darrell Walker, and he's got a 1st down. Out across the 40.
Something to consider. Mike Hilton is out of the game. He was used early as a spy. Then, of course, we just had the injury to Bryant. He, of course, is out. I think it's really affecting the flow and the scheme of how Ole Miss has had some success in defending Manziel.
I think we haven't had offense over 50 first downs and over 1,000 yards between the two teams. Manziel again scrambles out of the pocket. He'll run again. And 1st down again.
See, Denzel Kimdichie now has that role as the spy. Mike Evans ended up picking up a block, but just Kimdichie doesn't quite have, he's not quite at full speed, and he can't stay with Manziel when he pulls it down to run the football. And if you can't contain him and prevent him from creating, you got a big problem on your hands as a defense.
1st and 10 at the 45. Run all the way for Manziel. Skips straight up the middle, gets about 12 more and hits the deck. Cameron Wiggum.
Time they move Kimdichie, who's the spy, out here to the outside. See him coming late. Opens up the middle. There's nobody there. There's not a linebacker there. You got 3 down linemen.
Again, he readjusts that knee brace. Does Manziel. with another first down run at the 32-yard line. And now he's over 100 yards on the ground. Lambeau warming up. Molina pops down around the 22-yard line. Clock winding down to 1:20. All they need is a field goal.
It's the 80th snap for Texas A&M. It's a wear and tear. They like to try to control the fourth quarter by wearing down a defense. These first few plays, it's been men and boys up front in the trenches. There aren't any linebackers at the second level to try to help stop the running game.
Second down and 3. Molina again. Hit right before he got to the first down marker. Under a minute. Third down and a yard coming up.
Time they move Mike Mary, the Mike linebacker, in there to the middle.
Texas A&M content to let the clock wind down. They change up personnel. It's going to be third down and 1. They'll bring in an extra tight end. And again, their kicker warming up on the sideline. 30 seconds left in regulation. Manziel, third down and 1. He might just try to get it in the middle of the field. They'll do it with a first down run and more. Trey Carson all the way down to the 15-yard line.
Look, to me, like Ole Miss was more concerned about just trying to strip the football instead of tackling. They're not wrapping up. They're not taking him down, and that's the wrong back to do that. Trey Elston, number 7, and they're just ripping at the football. And Carson's just picking up more and more yards.
Kevin Sumlin's going to let that clock wind down to 4 seconds. And now it's going to be on the leg of Josh Lambeau. So he's trying to stay away from everybody except his holder right now. Junior out of Middleton, Wisconsin. Great game played by both teams. Hugh Freeze Rebels shorthanded on defense for a lot of the game. And when you handed it to number 2 with a couple minutes to go, you just knew it was going to come down to something like this.
Yep.
So he's going to lead everybody on one knee.
You know, think about this. How big a kick this is on a weekend where it's kind of almost shake-up Saturday. Georgia went down, Stanford went down. Johnny Manziel not just holding hands, but leading them in prayer here.
It's all come down to a kick.
It's a big opportunity to move up to probably number 7.
Yep.
If they end up making this kick.
3 out of 4 on the season. 40 has been his long. This one will be about 33 yards. Drew Kaiser will be the holder. Jake Matthews will snap it. And Josh Lambeau, the junior out of Wisconsin, they'll rename it Lambeau Field. At Texas A&M, he hits this. Kick on the way, and it is good. And the Aggies, ranked 9th, have survived another road victory. That's 10 straight. A lot of respect between these two teams. They had a barn burner last year here. And A&M had to come from behind in the fourth quarter to win that one. They've done it again.
You got to have these kind of games where you're going to get challenged on the road to have a special season, and you've got to be able to come up with a way of finding a way to win them. Ole Miss gave a great effort in this second half. Got the crowd into the game. Offense started to hum. Manziel answered time after time after time. This time putting them in position for a game-winning field goal.
They went 56 yards in 11 plays. You saw Johnny Manziel, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, leading the prayer on the sideline with 4 seconds to go. Prayer answered, courtesy of Josh Lambeau from 33 yards away, and it's 41-38 for a final.
And I know you and I and our whole crew, great game, but our thoughts are with Cedarius Bryant as he was taken off the field.
Well said. For Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe, Brad Nessler, so long from Oxford. Sports Center's next.